As we move into 2025, the challenges in Sino-US relations are immense. And I want to highlight three countries that are of great concerns to me because one, they play an important role in Sino-US relations, and two, they may be making the mistake of being complacent when it comes to understanding CCP's threats. So first things first, challenges in Taiwan. Given the amount of political cleansing and struggles ongoing in the CCP and also in the PLA, the chances for Xi Jinping to launch war on Taiwan in the near future or in 2025 is seriously not high. However, the risks of CCP's subversive activities in Taiwan and CCP's comprehensive efforts to take Taiwan from within is very high, and I think has been underestimated. Recently, two Taiwanese influencers released two-part documentaries exposing CCP's United Front work on the Taiwanese. What happened was two men, a YouTuber named Ba Chong, and a rapper named Mingnan Wolf, pretended to be Taiwanese supporters of the CCP and to be invited to the CCP's Taiwan Entrepreneurship Park in Fujian, China. While there, they recorded conversations with the United Front officials about the specific work the CCP is undertaking to recruit Taiwanese to work for them. The CCP offers any Taiwanese who's willing to start a business in the mainland an initial capital worth up to $27,000 as soon as they land. In addition, Taiwanese are provided loans worth $27,000 to $54,000 that they're not obligated to pay back. And then they will get a Chinese resident card in a month. And the CCP will also, look for dates for them. Basically, it's so lucrative that you have nothing to lose, right? All you have to do is show up, and then you have money and a business and possibly even a girlfriend. So it attracts those Taiwanese who may be struggling economically or emotionally in Taiwan. And it's said that in Xiamen alone, 4,000 Taiwanese are waiting to sign up for this program. And the Taiwanese influencers revealed that over 100,000 Taiwanese have already enrolled in this program and obtained mainland Chinese resident cards. And the number will reach 200,000. So these Taiwanese are also encouraged to participate in Taiwan's democratic process, and they can apply for funding from the mainland if they want to be active in politics. In addition to the 200,000 Taiwanese holding dual residencies, Taiwan also has 380,000 mainland Chinese who are married to Taiwanese. So in the event of war in the Taiwan Strait, the United States has two major allies in the Far East, South Korea and Japan. However, the political situation in both countries are getting a little worrisome. So now let's talk about Japan. Since Japan's former Prime Minister Fumio Kishida stepped down last September. He announced his resignation in August, and a month later, he stepped down. His replacement is the current Prime Minister, Shigeru Ishiba. Prime Minister Ishiba took a more pro-Beijing position. He is following the footsteps of his mentor, former Japanese Prime Minister Tanaka, who was friendly to Beijing and who was the one credited with establishing formal relations with Beijing. Recently, Taipei Times published an editorial titled Ishiba's Worrisome Flirtations with Beijing, and it reads, just like Tanaka, he tried to find his way out by appeasing Beijing. This is what he has been trying to achieve from the very beginning. Therefore, he offered an olive branch to China, while trying to take advantage of all sides in the confrontation between Beijing and Washington. In his policy address on October 4th, the Japanese Prime Minister emphasized the importance of promoting a strategic and mutually beneficial relation with China through dialogue at all levels. Ishiba also said on TV that it's extremely important for Japan's prime minister to visit China. In preparation for the prime minister's visit to China, Japanese foreign minister recently visited Beijing and made statements indicating a more conciliatory approach in a meeting with the Chinese counterpart Wang Yi on December 25th, on Christmas Day. Iwaya, who is the foreign minister of Japan, referred to China and Japan as partners. He also proposed easing visa requirements for Chinese tourists. In a TV interview, the Japanese foreign minister said that he didn't agree or like the expression that if something happens to Taiwan, it's the same as if something has happened to Japan. He said that Japan respects the One China principle and that Taiwan and Japan don't have a formal diplomatic relations. Now, this statement is quite a deviation from Japan's previous foreign policy path. The very statement, if something happens to Taiwan, it means that something has happened to Japan, was a famous statement made by the late Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, who was a strong supporter of Taiwan and a close ally of the U.S. His widow was recently invited to Mar-a-Lago by President-elect Donald Trump and his wife. So in the wake of recent two attacks on Japanese children living in China, Ishiba's waving olive branch to Beijing is indeed worrisome. And now let's talk about South Korea. The political storm is more alarming. I've talked about this in my previous program, and I want to give you an update. After President Yoon Suk-yeol was impeached for ordering martial law, his prime minister, Han Duck-soo, became the interim president, who was also impeached. Now, South Korea's deputy prime minister, Choi Sang-mok, is the acting president and acting prime minister. The country's National Election Commission refuses to investigate the election fraud that President Yoon alleged, but reportedly plans to amend the law to criminally punish those who question election integrity. And on December 31st, the South Korean Corruption Investigation Office for high-ranking officials announced that the Seoul Western District Court had approved an arrest warrant for President Yoon. The warrant specifies the charge of leader of insurrection, and is valid until January 6. So this marks the first time in South Korea's constitutional history that an arrest warrant has been issued for a sitting president. President Yoon's lawyer issued a statement saying that the arrest and search warrant issued at the request of an unauthorized institution are illegal and invalid. And the president himself declared his intent to fight alongside the people until the very last moment. And he urged the public to view the state of martial law from a broader perspective. He emphasized the opposition party's parliamentary dictatorship and violent actions have paralyzed state functions and disrupted social order, compelling him to take extraordinary measures. President Yoon suffered a very poor rating before the impeachment. So now many of the polling agencies have stopped tracking his approval rating because they're trying to make him non-relevant. However, a conservative media outlet commissioned a poll showing that Yoon's approval rating actually had risen by 12.9% since December 9th, prior to the impeachment. And some of Yoon's supporters accused South Korea's mainstream media of not giving Yoon's supporters fair coverage, and the coverage is one-sided. But interestingly, the Japanese media spoke up for the Koreans. Japanese political commentator Naito Keijin wrote in the Japan Times that South Korea's opposition leader Lee Jae-myung has already been implicated in 6 criminal cases and several other allegations, which could disqualify him from running for the president. And the Japanese commentator suggested that this is the primary reason that Lee Jae-myung, is eager to push for Yoon's impeachment. The Trump administration should be concerned with the constitutional crisis in South Korea. Should President Yoon be sentenced and the pro-Beijing Democratic Party leader be installed as the next Korean president, the U.S. will lose a critical ally, and China and North Korea will score a big one. China will have easy access to obtain and steal South Korea's advanced semiconductor technology, display technology, battery technology, and other biomedical technologies. The Democratic Party of Korea will control both the executive branch and the parliament and will pass laws in favor of the CCP. The DPK, or the Democratic Party of Korea, controls the parliament now, and it wants to pass a law to prohibit companies from refusing to submit to government their trade secrets. Guess who will benefit from this law? China. So I think the South Koreans should stay alert and not fall into the false narratives. President Yoon has asked the court to live broadcast his impeachment trial. We don't know if he will be granted. Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea are 3 countries strategically important for the Americans in the Pacific region, and we cannot afford to lose them to the CCP. That's what I dedicated the first program of 2025 on that subject.